Okay, the chapter title is Generation of Warriors, and our cover page is Usopp putting honey on his nose, trying to catch what's it called? He's trying to lure in a rhino beetle, and for some reason, Chopper wants to lick his nose off. Pretty funny stuff, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, we go directly into the chapter. The Giants have spotted Zoro. They finally got this guy, and they're all chanting, "Kill Zoro, kill Zoro." But fortunately, Haruden notices it, and apparently, these guys are saying that Elder Zoro is now their top priority. The giant warriors have their respect, thus they're pretty much hesitating to go in for a direct confrontation right here, right there. But suddenly they get spotted by these giants, these Domi versus giants, and then they ask Zoro what his genius plan from last chapter was, which is something I was really curious about. And he then asks, is it okay for him to just cut down these guys? Which they give him permission to do. And then he immediately just gives us this nice, good, demonic smile, I'm not gonna lie. After these guys talk their shit, Zoro starts hopping around, jumps into the sky, and immediately gets to dicing motherfuckers 3-sword style. Santoryu! Cut off the 6 paths. He's using one of them secret techniques. Crossing of the 6 paths. Anyway, Zoro immediately dices up these giants. And then Dory and Brogy spot him and recognize him. Then they go in to cut him down. But Zoro does that little schlick he did against King, where he actually cuts the air or hits the air and uses it like sort of a skywalk, going above the giants, avoiding his ass getting hit. Really good stuff here. And then Dory and Brogy just straight up murk each other. Well, considering the Roger fight, I don't think these guys are done in any sense. I feel like just like rocks, they're gonna be right back by the next chapter. But hey, we'll never know. We could never know. It'll be very disappointing if they just get completely washed right here, right now. But hey, it's only natural, man. The Straw Hats are currently real demons right now. Like, I see people making matchups that this guy versus this guy versus the Holy Knight. I don't think they understand just how fucking strong the Straw Hats have become right now. All the matchups in this island are going to be insanely one-sided, and you see just shortly. Later, we see Brook crawling like a little worm, wriggling. Then he recognizes Imu calling her by her title, Princess Shuri. This then confirms that Gunko is indeed a princess. He then goes on to say, after she starts recognizing him a bit, I can't see how you could possibly be here. It's certainly impossible, but it's hard to deny you are her spitting image, so I have to make sure. Even if you aren't the princess, surely you must be of her blood. If the princess were alive today, she would be nearing 80 by now, which makes sense considering that Brook himself is well over 80. Of course, she wouldn't recognize me given how much I've changed. And yet, those features, blue hair, the mismatched colored eyes, and the connection to the Holy Land. Okay, before I continue, the fact that he says those features then points out blue hair, Buggy might just be related to Gunko. But hey, take that with a grain of salt. Then he proceeds to say, plus your fondness to my music, aren't you Princess Shuri? Since every single detail was perfectly matching. I'd hoped I'd go the rest of my life without seeing you, without ever having to think about you again. Okay, this is rough, man. Why the hell? Whatever she did here, Brook straight up despises her. Oh yeah, it's just there right here. I owed everything to the man whose life you took. My what the fuck is that word? Anyway, Brook despises Gunko. Oh my goodness. I thought Brook had a good relationship with Gunko, but hey, it's straight up different. Then because Gunko had all this yap from the man himself, she starts gaining back her memories, then temporarily seizes control. And then she realizes the shit she's doing, then tells Brook he has to run, doing this little arrow sweaty thingy in the older my man. I know she's 80 something, but you don't need to clickbait us, bro. We're gonna be here to watch One Piece. We do not need to see some booty on the screen every time. Anyway, Brook gets released from his bounds and he's actually surprised. And everyone who was following the arrow, I see the kids who are being controlled by the arrow to follow it, started wiggling to show that it wasn't really consistent anymore. Brook was free, getting flung out. Gunko and Imu start communicating, with Imu asking, are you attempting to move on your own will? This is interesting because I've had people saying the Gorosei have Conqueror's Haki, but if Imu can control them and make them move on his will, that means they cannot use their will. As this is exactly what he's saying right here. That means every single Conqueror's Haki feat from those guys is attributed all the way back to none other than Imu. Those guys do not have Conqueror's Haki. I'm pretty sure this confirms it right here, because if he's the one controlling you, or essentially the higher the continent, the deep sea contract, I guess, you're gonna eventually just lose your will, because for hair powers to work, your will should be ineffective. That's why Gunko even trying to use her own will here is really pissing her off. Anyway, they start fighting for control again, and Conqueror's Haki is oozing out, which I think is Imu trying to just dominate Gunko with her Haki, and immediately takes effect with the bounds tightening again, but it's a bit too late, and Brook is standing on business. He's like, I ain't here to run around, I came here to settle shit. Now turn me up. Brook is really down for the squabbling, but Gunko is not playing, or Imu, I guess. Then she comes in for a freaking spear attack. Woo! But Brook still blocks it. Now this is insane, guys. I don't think we've had any Brook upscale this high, and I wonder why the spoilers completely act like the scene doesn't exist. People were glazing the shit out of Zoro is jumping on giant head's feet, which was something we know he could have done anytime, any moment. I don't know why that was even something to just glaze over. Something to actually glaze over is Brook blocking an advanced Conqueror's Haki coated attack from freaking Imu with his shield, and he is standing on business talking his shit. But oh well, we don't see the next panel after this. It'll be safe to say he gets completely rinsed after this attack, but fact is he even stopped it for a millisecond. Honestly, this might even be better than Zoro stopping Kaido and Big Mom's combined attack. Oh, oops, I think I spoke too soon. Some niggas might just stone my head. Then, moving on, we see that Usopp and the Bami gang are finally free. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh wait, no, something interesting actually happens here. Nami Sword! Sanji-kun, oh my goodness! I love to see it. Shit's about to get serious. Anyway, the giants reach to the port and they spot their children and Saint Summers, which Saint Summers is just talking his shit again. It's really annoying every time this guy's on screen. I can't wait for Sanji to just come and rinse this motherfucker. And anyway, the parents arrive. They try stopping this demonic Nika. It's actually crazy that in a nation where people worship Nika, some kids have nightmares of a demonic version of Nika, or this is the god of destruction version of Nika, which is crazy to think about. Are they two different types of Nikas? Hey, I don't know. Maybe this is like, but it wouldn't really make sense. I was about to say this is probably like Loki's Nika, which they're afraid of here, but considering how Loki has been portrayed in his fight with King Harold, that makes zero sense. The only way that could make sense is if Loki didn't get implied to have a dragon-like form, because this Nika here is just a big black version of Luffy. Yo, that sounds racist as fuck, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, Nika just gets absolutely rinsed by these balmy pirates. Hey, wait. My mommy Ripley's right there. So Nika gets rinsed by these guys, and he's snot. Is that a snot coming out of his nose? Okay, somebody get this nigga out of here. We immediately see Gerd and Goldberg charging up their combined Ikkaku sovereignty, which is then stacked on top by Rodo, becoming a Gikoku sovereignty. I don't think we've ever seen this attack before, but it completely just blows a hole through this nigga's chest. The Nika falls onto Summers, and Summers just hits the nigga all the way to the ship. Then he crashes the ship that the children were supposed to go in, and now they can't leave. Straight low IQ moment right here. I did not think we're gonna see any character with a lower IQ than Storm and Zoro. Anyway, Summers realizes that he fucked up, and he knows that next chapter Imu's probably gonna be sucking his soul. But don't worry, my boy, Summers. Sanji's gonna come and rinse your ass before you actually have the opportunity to do so. Anyway, guys, that was the chapter review. This is the ending of the chapter. The next chapter, I'll probably be making, in fact, I'm definitely making a review of the next chapter. So like and subscribe. Because, man, editing this shit's painful. You gotta sub if you want to see these reviews on time, because it literally takes a whole day to make this shit. Anyway, like, subscribe, come back for the next one, and drop some theories of how you think the next chapter is panning out in next week. I don't think there's a break next week, so yeah, drop some theories down there. And the way I'm seeing it right now is next chapter is actually gonna be quite slow. My predictions for next chapter are that the Demon versus Giants, I'm gonna just come back. Now Zoro is gonna be stuck to face Dory and Brogy. He's now stuck and forced to face them directly. And Hiruden and the rest of the other giants now have to fight these Domi versus Giants who are just still recovering. We're gonna have more law on Brook, and we're gonna see Sanji seeing Robin the way she is. He's gonna get pissed by it. I would like to say Sanji immediately goes to clap at Summer's cheeks, but that is not happening. Unfortunately, it's too soon. So we're just gonna get a little interaction there, and maybe we're gonna see Loki arriving at the top of the tree, coming from the underworld. So yeah, that is it, guys. That's the video. Peace out.